Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So that's not working. Okay. All right, no problem. So, continuing our Sri Caitanya caritamrta classes, this is Adi Lila chapter 2, entitled Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're going to be reading from text 21 and maybe 22. We'll see how it goes. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, we don't have something's wrong with the TV, so we can't do like a responsive chanting, so I'll just read the verse and we'll continue like that. So this is text 21 of Adi Lila chapter 2. Tammimam mahammajam sharirabhajam Hridi Hridi Dishtitam Atma Kalpitanam Pratidrishyam Iva Naikadharkam Ekam Samadhigatosmi Viduta Beda Moha. We can do the word for word maybe. Please repeat. Tam, him, imam, this, aham, I, Ajam, the unborn, Sharira Bhajam, of the conditioned souls endowed with bodies. Riddhi Riddhi, in each of the hearts. Dishtitam, situated. Atma, by themselves. Kalpitanam, which are imagined. Pratidrisham, for every eye. Iva, like. Na ekada, not in one way. Arkam, the sun. Ekam, one. Samadhi gata, one who has obtained. Asmi, I am. Viduta, removed. Beda moha, whose misconception of duality. Translation. Grandfather Bhishma said, as the one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as the Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. You can repeat. As the one sun appears differently, situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as the Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. Purport. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.42 was spoken by Bhishma Dev, the grandfather of Gurus, when he was lying on a bed of arrows at the last stage of his life. Arjuna, Krishna, and numberless friends, admirers, relatives, and sages had gathered on the scene as Maharaj Yudhishthir took moral and religious instructions from the dying Bhishma. Just as the final moment arrived for him, Bhishma spoke this verse while looking at Lord Krishna. Just as the one sun is the object of vision of many different persons, so the one partial representation of Lord Krishna, who lives in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, is a variously perceived object. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as the localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhishma knew the Supersoul to be a partial expansion of Lord Krishna, whom he understood to be the Supreme, unborn, transcendental form. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, this is a Srimad Bhagavatam verse. So I brought Srimad Bhagavatam along because we can also maybe read the purport of that verse from the Bhagavatam. So this verse represents, or is the final words of Bhishma Dev before his passing away. And after imparting, his final instructions on dharma, politics, even on liberation, so the grandfather of the Kuru dynasty, Bhishma Dev, he focuses his entire being on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who was standing right before him. So Bhishma Dev, in the Bhishma Shtuti, that chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhishma Dev, he admits that despite his vast knowledge, the material world, it's a representation of illusion, of duality. Because we see the Lord as separate from His creation. This is the general perception amongst most people, is that this creation, they see this creation separate from the Supreme Lord. So, at this moment of death, by the grace of Lord Krishna, so Bhishma's delusion of duality is removed. So he sees the absolute, unity of the Lord's energy in his presence, like that. And we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada's purport, and we can comment more on that because it's a more elaborate purport. So Prabhupada's purport: Lord Shri Krishna is the one absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead, but He has expanded Himself into His multi-plenary portions by His inconceivable energy. So we know the Lord has, He has inconceivable energies. But if you ask somebody out there, some ordinary person, what is your concept of God? Their answer may be, oh, God He's great, or God is the creator. But they don't have the vast knowledge of the Vedic scripts, which Srila Prabhupada has kindly translated for us and given to us. That they don't know how great God is, or how He has created. And therefore their concept of God is very, what can I say? Very limited, yes. And so they don't understand who God really is because of their limited knowledge of Him. Right? We'll read further. The conception of duality is due to ignorance of His inconceivable energy. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, avajananti ma muda manushim tanum ashritam parambhavam majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. He says, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. So, we know that, so Krishna is saying that, because he descends in this human form, people think that, oh, it can't be God. But because of their limited understanding of God. But why can't God descend in a human form? If God can create, He's the creator of everything, why can't He descend in such a simple form? And then imagine now when we speak about God coming as a fish incarnation, or a boar incarnation, or a turtle. They cannot understand. People cannot understand this concept of God. Or what to speak of half man, half lion. Like many people worship Nrsingadev, but they don't really know who Nrsingadev is. They don't know that Nrsingadev is Vishnu Tattva. He is Krishna. Like that. So fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. And then in that purport of this verse, chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 11, Prabhupada is saying, there are many Ishvaras, controllers, and one appears greater than another. And then he goes on to explain, there may be somebody in charge of something, but he has a manager. That manager has a senior manager, and the senior manager has somebody else in charge of him, maybe the director. But then there's a board of directors, and in the board of directors, there's one person that may have the majority share. So there's always someone greater, and as we go on and go on, we find that there's always someone greater. Each of them is controller, but one is controlled by another. But from a great authority, Lord Brahma, we understand Ishvara Parama Krishna. And further on in this purport, we'll see how we have to understand or take the teachings of the great teachers, the acharyas, and therefore we understand who God really is. And in most cases, the general public, they don't have a bona fide guru. As we read further, we'll understand. Such foolish men are not aware of his inconceivable energies. By his inconceivable energy, he is present in everyone's heart, as the sun is present before everyone all over the world. So, Prabhupada even gives this analogy of the sun in the Chaitanya Caritamrta purport. And it's like, you take 5,000 people and you put them in 5,000 different places, and you give them each a pot of water. There's 5,000 different pots of water. And each of those persons can see the sun reflecting in that pot of water. But if they think that, it's a different sun, even though they're in different parts of the world, they think, they're in different parts of the world, so they think, it's the sun from this part of the world. That obviously is false, because it's the one same sun reflecting in all the pots of water. By his inconceivable energy, he is present in everyone's heart. So just as this one sun is reflected in all the different pots of water, similarly, Krishna, he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can do whatever he wants to do. He can expand into so many different expansions and enter into every living entity's heart. The Paramatma feature of the Lord is an expansion of his plenary portions. He expands himself as Paramatma in everyone's heart by his inconceivable energy. And he also expands himself as the glowing effulgence of Brahma Jyoti by expansion of his personal glow. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita that the Brahma Jyoti is his personal glow. Therefore, there is no difference between him and his personal glow Brahma Jyoti, or his plenary portions as Paramatma. Now, many people don't understand this. they think that the Brahma Jyoti, the Paramatma, and Bhagavan are different. And I even had I witnessed this personally, that somebody was doing some puja, and that priest, he didn't know that these were different features of the Supreme Lord. And he spoke to them in a way that he made it seem that, the Bhagavan is different, Paramatma is another Bhagavan, and he made it seem that the Brahma Jyoti is the ultimate. Right? So we can see like this, these fools that is spoken here in the spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita, they are fooling other people. And as Prabhupada explains, it's blind leading the blind. And when the blind leads the blind, they fall into a ditch. Right? But this misconception of duality is completely removed from the mind of Bhishma Dev. And he is now satisfied that it is Lord Sri Krishna only who is all in everything. Right? So, Bhishma Dev is then further on in this chapter, in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Those who are not deluded, the great souls like Bhishma Dev, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So, okay, we'll read further and then comment. This enlightenment is attained by the great Mahatmas or devotees. As is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:19, that Vasudeva is all in everything, and that there is no existence of anything without Vasudeva. Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, is the original Supreme Person, as now confirmed by Mahajan, and therefore both the neophytes and the pure devotees must try to follow in his footsteps. That is the way of devotional line. So this is what I was speaking about earlier, that most people don't have a bona fide guru because they don't know who a bona fide guru is. But from the Vedic scriptures we can understand, from the teachings of Srila Prabhupada we understand about the 12 Mahajans, right? And Prabhupada is reiterating here in his purport that as now confirmed by Mahajan, and therefore both the neophytes and the pure devotees must try to follow in his footsteps, right? So everybody has to have a bona fide guru. Who is the guru? Somebody is following the teachings of Lord Krishna and teaching and imparting that knowledge. So, like I explained, this priest that was giving this bogus philosophy of that Brahman is the supreme, and Paramatma is different, Bhagavan is different. So these people don't have bona fide gurus. Somehow or the other they learn how to read some Sanskrit verses or learn to read a book of Sanskrit, the pujas and things, and then they want to perform these activities, these pujas, but for the sake of earning a living. And then if these types of these spiritual activities are performed for earning some wealth, some money, then it has no effect at all. And then both are going to fall into the ditch, and go to hell. So we have to follow the Mahajans. That is the way of the devotional line. And how to become a Mahajan, or how to become a great devotee of the Lord. Krishna explains further in this 9th chapter. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yuktya upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Right? So we have come in this movement, this Krishna consciousness movement. We are doing exactly this, always chanting the glories of Lord Krishna. Every day, devotees are endeavoring with determination, Dridavrata. We had one Dridavrata, not long ago. With great determination. And we offer our obeisances to Lord Krishna every day. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So who are those great souls? All of you that's doing these activities every day. Right? Prabhupada, in his purport, he says, the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. Right. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Lord. Right. So, these activities, through the causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, we've got these teachings, we have understood it, or we are assimilating it, we are trying to understand it, and we are performing these activities. And we are on the line, that devotional line. And the goal for us should be to become great souls. In the purport of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is saying, in other words, he is not an impersonalist. So these impersonalists, they want to merge into the Brahma Jyoti. Or they say that God has no feature, but they believe that they are God. It's like when they become self-realized, then they realize, oh, I am God, but I had forgotten I was God, like that. So it's fully, even if you just think of it logically, it makes no sense. God forgot that he was God, you know. So one time, Srila Prabhupada, I think it was in New Vrindavan, he was walking up a hill with Brahmananda Prabhu. And so Brahmananda Prabhu got in front of him and put out his hand to help Srila Prabhupada up. Srila Prabhupada caught his hand and Brahmananda, pulled Srila Prabhupada up. But as soon as Srila Prabhupada got on top of the hill, he took Brahmananda's hand and he threw it away. And said, now I don't need you anymore. So that's like these impersonalists. They want to realize God, but when they realize God, then, they throw God away. But I am God, you're not God anymore. So God forgot that he was God. Means that he's not God. Like that. Sorry. The worshipable object of Bhishmadev is Lord Sri Krishna as Parthasarati, and that of the gopis is the same Krishna in Vrindavan as the most attractive Shyam Sundar. Sometimes less intelligent scholars make a mistake and think that the Krishna of Vrindavan and that of the battle of Kurukshetra are different personalities. I have heard this many times from devotees. So this is wrong. Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, on the chariot of Arjuna, driving Arjuna through that battlefield, and the Krishna, the beloved of the gopis, the life and soul of the gopis in Vrindavan, are the same Krishna. They're the same Krishna. Why would he be different? He's the same Krishna, but because we have different rasas with the Lord, we desire different relationships with the Lord. Probably in the spiritual world we have that type of a relationship, and so we see Krishna in a certain way, like the gopis of Vrindavan. Saw Krishna as their lover, the love of their life. I can't remember the Sanskrit word now. Anyway, when Krishna was not in the eyes, they cursed Brahma because they had eyelids and they were blinking, because for that moment they could not see Krishna. So this was their attachment to Krishna. So much love for Krishna. And on the battlefield, Bhishmadev, he saw Krishna as that warrior. And when Krishna was shooting those arrows at Bhishmadev, it seemed to Bhishmadev like Krishna was throwing roses at him. Right? So this is that relationship, different relationships of different devotees of the Lord. So Krishna in the battlefield, Krishna in Vrindavan is the same Krishna. But for Bhishmadev, this misconception is completely removed. Right? So that should be the understanding we should come to, that these different features of Krishna are the same personality. He is not different. Even the impersonalist object of destination is Krishna in the impersonal Jyoti. And the yogi's destination of Paramatma is also Krishna. Krishna is both Brahma Jyoti and localized Paramatma. But in Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma, there is no Krishna or sweet relations with Krishna. Therefore, Prabhupada says, when these impersonalists, they get liberated and they merge into the Brahma Jyoti, we are spirit souls. By nature, we want relationships. And because in the Brahma Jyoti, there's no interaction, so Prabhupada explains that they fall back down into the material world and they take up these humanitarian and philanthropic work. Right? So there's no sweetness, no sweet relations with Krishna. And I don't know for all of you, but for me, prior to coming to Krishna consciousness, before reading Srila Prabhupada's books, okay, we knew Krishna, Rama, so many different personalities, but that relationship is not there. And recently I don't know why, but I just started listening to Krishna book again. Householder's life is very busy. To find time to read too is even difficult. So what I do is in the morning, as soon as I wake up and I'm getting ready and things, listening to Krishna book, and that sweetness of the relationships between Krishna and his devotees, it's like makes the heart so soft. And sometimes you want to cry, sometimes I'm laughing, So Srila Prabhupada has given us that. And he has given us this treasure that God is a person. He's not just some light, or He's not just a universal form, but He is personal. And just like Bhishma Dev, we can have that personal relationship with Him. Just like the gopis of Vrindavan, we can have that personal relationship with Him. Just like Subal. I remember when I was young, so I come from a family with 3 brothers, and we used to watch WWE, this wrestling channel on TV. And we used to jump on the bed, and that was the wrestling ring, and we used to play wrestling on the bed, But you can have that same relationship with Krishna. You can wrestle with Krishna. And when you beat Him, He has to carry you on His shoulders. Right? So this is what Srila Prabhupada has given us. And those that don't have this knowledge, it's inconceivable to them that this is God. He can do something like that. And even Brahma, such a great personality, he was bewildered that, how can God be can be a cowherd boy? Holding the tail of the calf, and the calf is dragging God through the cow dung. So it's inconceivable for for anyone that's not a devotee, not a bhakta. In his personal feature, Krishna is both Parthasarati and Shyamasundar of Vrindavan. But in his impersonal feature, he is neither in the Brahmanjyoti nor in the Paramatma. Great Mahatmas like Bhishma Dev realize all these different features of Lord Sri Krishna. And therefore they worship Lord Krishna, knowing Him as the origin of all features. So, we are very fortunate that we have these teachings. And we have leapfrogged so many different hurdles that impede us from this understanding. And through Srila Prabhupada's books, now we understand that Brahmajyoti and Paramatma are just the plenary expansions of Lord Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the all in all, as Prabhupada says in the purport. And then that brings us to the next verse of the Sri Caitanya caritamrta. That's text 22 of the second chapter, Adi Lila. Seta Govinda Sakshad Chaitanya Gosani Jivanishtarite Aiche Dayalu Aranahi. That Govinda personally appears as Chaitanya Gosani. No other Lord is as merciful in delivering the fallen souls. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, again, he's establishing that point. That this same Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of Bhishma Dev, who is the lover of the gopis, who is Yashoda Nandana, this Mahaprabhu is that same Krishna. Right? And we'll read the purport. I don't know if we have time. Oh yeah, we have time. So we'll read the purport. It's a long purport, but I'm not going to read everything because most of it is just quotations from other scriptures. But we'll see how it goes. Having described Govinda in terms of his Brahman and Paramatma features, now the author of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita advances his argument to prove that Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the identical personality. The same Lord Sri Krishna, in the garb of a devotee of Sri Krishna, descended to this mortal world to reclaim the fallen human beings who had misunderstood the personality of Godhead, even after explanation of the Bhagavad Gita. So, yeah, Krishna, he came, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, but the common man, or not the common man, people just didn't want to follow the instruction. And even now, the most simplest of instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, you're not the body, you're the spirit soul. Still people don't want to accept that. Even those who are born in this Vedic culture. And still their whole lives are based on sense gratification and pleasure for the material body. So they won't even accept that fact. And therefore Mahaprabhu, Krishna has to come as Mahaprabhu. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna directly instructed that the Supreme is a person, that the impersonal Brahman is his glowing effulgence, and that the Paramatma is his partial representation. All men were therefore advised to follow the path of Sri Krishna, leaving aside all mundane isms. Offenders misunderstood this instruction, however, because of their poor fund of knowledge. Thus, by his causeless, unlimited mercy, Sri Krishna came again as Sri Caitanya Goswami. So, Krishna gave the instructions, people didn't want to take to it, and then he comes again as the most merciful incarnation. It just shows that Krishna wants us back. He's coming again and again and again. You know, he's knocking on the door. Who's there? It's me, I want to take you back home. No, I'm busy. And he comes again and knocking on the door. And then we are too busy. But he comes as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu eventually. The most merciful, most magnificent incarnation. And, you know, we've heard it so many times that he comes and he's not seeing who's qualified, who's not qualified. You know, he is just giving Krishna Prema freely. And we still, as devotees, we don't understand this gift of Krishna Prema. How, it's such a great, such a valuable jewel, Krishna Prema. Even as sitting here and speaking about it, I can't even understand it. But when we read this book, Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read the Krishna book, then we understand, we have some, glimpse into what love for Godhead is. Love of God is. And then Mahaprabhu is so merciful, Krishna is so merciful, comes as Mahaprabhu, and he comes in the form of his holy name. So he's made himself very accessible. And from this understanding of Srila Prabhupada's purports that Krishna has so many energies, and he can invest his energy in anything and everything, and he's invested all his energies in the holy name. So, and Srila Prabhupada came and he, propounded this more and more. And I was thinking that, Bhishma Dev, he left in such a glorious way. Lying on the bed of arrows. He had that benediction, that he could leave whenever he wanted to. And he was lying on that bed of arrows waiting for the appropriate time. And he spoke these profound prayers. And I was thinking that, Srila Prabhupada, he's our Bhishma Dev. Because even when Srila Prabhupada, he was lying on that deathbed, he was Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. He was preaching Krishna consciousness, always chanting the glories of Krishna. It's just like Bhishma Dev, until the end, focused on Krishna, speaking Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, just like that. Till the very end, focused on the holy name. And his last word was Krishna. He chanted the holy name. Just like the great Mahajan Bhishma Dev, Srila Prabhupada is another very great soul, extremely great soul. And then last week, I was reading these verses and purports, and I was thinking of the devotees who have left in such glorious ways. And just last week we had Madhava Gopi Mataji's, memorial. And I was sitting and listening to the devotees speaking, and it was so touching to the heart that I didn't know this personality was such a great soul. And she left so gloriously. So just like I spoke earlier that all the devotees who are performing these activities, chanting Krishna's names, offering him obeisances, every day, they are great souls. And even, our whole practice is at the time of death to remember Krishna. And these devotees are showing us that at the time of death they are remembering Krishna. So when I was reading this verse and the purports, I was just meditating on that. And not only Madhavi Gopi Mataji, but so many other devotees have left so gloriously. We end the right line, like Prabhupada says in the purport, in the devotional line of the great Mahajans. And we can be grateful to Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters, the acharyas, that we are here, we have got this knowledge, and we are guaranteed to go back to the spiritual world. It's just up to us how soon. So I'll stop here. 5 minutes for questions or comments. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I deeply apologize for missing part of your class because I had to sort out technology with the TV and stuff. So, but anyway, I was sitting and listening to your class. It's much more highly. It's actually an inspiration to me. So yesterday we went for a program in Beer Bank yesterday, and we were talking about the fair. And we said it'll be so nice if our devotees go out there and do it now. And also, most of the people, it's sad to see like most of the people in the mode of ignorance, and it's like for us to make some sort of arrangements to go speak to some management and then, just go and do Harinam and on the stage and get people to chant and dance in ecstasy. So that'll be the most powerful thing if our devotees go out there and just simply by giving out the name of the glories of Krishna, in spite of what's happening there, just to give out the name, the love of Godhead to all these souls out there. I was just thinking about, I was just sitting down and thinking about what's going to happen if most of our devotees won't be in this mutual world.
Sorry?
I was just thinking about what's going to happen if most of the devotees are not going to be in this mutual world. Everyone is going to go back home, back to Godhead.
Oh.
Then what's going to happen then? So that's why we have to cherish and we have to, always treasure the devotees and always be grateful to devotees. Devotees going out there in the sun, they're sacrificing their whole life, giving out the words of God, the message of God, even if it's rainy, even if it's sun. the determination of the devotees giving out love of God, this is something that we can really treasure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, nice glorification of the devotees. Devotees are merciful because they have a merciful Lord, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. You know, they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah, so yeah, devotees are merciful. They want to give everyone Krishna, and all devotees are giving something in what way they can. So some are cooking and giving prasad, some are going out giving the holy name or distributing books, and even serving other devotees is also preaching, giving Krishna, worshipping the deity. Sukumari Mataji is cooking for the devotees, you know. So all this is preaching, giving Krishna. So yeah, we should always glorify the devotees and be very grateful to devotees, because they have a ticket back home, back to Godhead. Thank you. And say something. Give her the mic.
Hare Krishna, you mentioned that those who are following Krishna are in the bona fide line. Not all of them. Some people who follow Krishna, but they are not in the disciplic line coming in from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So not everyone who follows Krishna is in that line. So we have to understand that. And the next point I want to make is that in the Sri Upanishad there is a prayer by the devotee who says, my dear Lord, please remove your dazzling effulgence so that I could see your face.
Yeah.
So, so the devotees of Krishna in the disciplic succession, don't follow the impersonal liberation, but because they want to see Krishna face to face, and at the end of their lives they will see the Lord face to face. So in this way, the impersonalists, basically, they worship the Brahman feature in order to merge with the Brahman and become one with God. So that's not our philosophy. And we are saved by Srila Prabhupada, who basically propagated Krishna consciousness around the world, and that is how we have come into contact with this movement.
Yeah.
So in that way, the life of the devotees who are following in the line of disciplic succession are glorious, compared to others.
Yeah.
Right?
I should have mentioned in the line of disciplic succession, but that's why I said following a bona fide guru. Bona fide guru is only in this line mainly, in the Sampradaya line.
We have 4 Sampradayas, so in that, if anyone follows in one of these Sampradayas, so they can make advancement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Shri Granantaraj Sri Caitanya Charitamrta ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.